Welcome, welcome, welcome to Moms in a Huddle. We're in the huddle. No parent stands alone. I am your host, Erica Morgan. And Jillian, it looks like she's on mute. Well, I will say I am your host, Erica Morgan, mom of Samaj Morgan of the University of Michigan, wide receiver. He's a football player, and I'm also the mom of Tyler as well. My oldest is 27. I know I look 25, but that's okay.
You look amazing and you sound amazing. So I'm off of you again. I'm Jillian Blackwell, also the host of Moms in a Huddle. I happen to have three wonderful and amazing young men. My middle son, Jonathan, is a D1 basketball player for the University of Wisconsin. And that's why Erica and I are here for our boys, for the life that they have put us in. Right, Erica?
Yeah, absolutely. Because in the huddle, we talk about everything, Jillian. We've talked about mental health. That was our most recent show. We brought
Yes.
Samad and Jonathan on. They talked about some things. But what people need to understand is in the huddle, we bring everything to you so that you are informed. We're going to bring coaches. We're going to bring sports agents. We're going to bring companies. We're going to bring anything NIL, branding companies, accountants,
Yes.
everybody to put you in the huddle to make sure you're connected, your athlete is connected, and each parent is connected.
Absolutely. And our tagline is in the huddle, no parents stand alone. And so we want to make sure that sometimes parents, even when we have this conversation about bringing those professionals, our is you. And sometimes we need to speak to you about how you can help your student athletes. But we also tell you, parents, sometimes you need to stay out of the locker room. So that podcast series, that episode is coming up soon. But we're super excited about what's going to take place tonight. What are we talking about tonight, Eric?
Oh my goodness, Jillian, I'm super excited about what we're taking place tonight. Actually, M10 Social is in the house. They just posted something as a comment, and I'm excited because he's one of our guests tonight. We're going to bring Allie and his beautiful wife and his cell phone today, and they're just going to be talking about NIL branding, photography, photos, taking the right pictures, and just bringing them into the huddle because every athlete loves to take pictures. How many times, Jillian, did we go to campuses and visit campuses? And the first thing that these athletes have is the camera. Click, click,
Absolutely.
click, click.
Absolutely. Yes. And one of the things that we know, your image is the first impression. And so in today's NIL world, your photos aren't just memories. Like it's great for us to take pictures. We got, photos of Shamaj and Jonathan playing years ago, but those photos are marketing tools. So before a coach, a brand or a fan reads your stats, they're seeing your face, they're seeing your energy, and they're seeing your story. And so we want to make sure, that's what we're going to talk about today. We want to make sure that you know that your image is your first impression.
And that's right. Not just your image, but your branding of who you are. A lot of people don't know that we are really walking billboards and brands of who we are, right? We don't think about it that way because some of us may say, well, I don't look at it like that. But when you are especially an athlete, you need to know and have ownership of who you are. I know Doug is going to be talking about some things today about things that I don't think a lot of us think about. Athletes owning who they are, not just owning their who they are as far as contracts, but owning websites, owning their name so that no one's out there getting it. And Doug's going to talk a little bit more about that when he comes. Allie is his wife. They work as a power couple, as a team together. I love bringing couples on because what you see is it's always someone that is in the huddle with you. And normally it's your spouse and your kids, right?
Absolutely. That's the first huddle. The first huddle was, I told my son yesterday, I said, the people that are going to support you the most typically have your same last name.
Yes.
And so parents, this episode will help you understand why investing in professional photos or even just doing DIY social content better can help your athletes stand out in the sea of so much talent that is out there. And it's really not about vanity. It's about visibility. How are you being visible to your audience?
Well, you know what? Let's be real on that, though, Jillian. A lot of brand companies are scrolling through our kids' huddles. I mean, not their huddles, but actually they did have a huddle with film, but they're scrolling through our kids' Instagrams. They're scrolling through their social media to see if that's an athlete that they want to represent them.
Yes.
So that's why branding yourself is so key. Sometimes people need to know more about you than just being an athlete. Sometimes it's just you. Like I know, for example, Samaj loves dogs, right? He has dogs. And then we help him with the dogs. But what a lot of people don't know, that's the different side of him outside of football. So branding companies may be interested in something like that. But if they don't see it on your website or they don't see you post a lot about it, you're not going to know. But they will look and see.
And one thing I love about what Doug and Allie are going to talk about is that being you. Like, don't fake a brand.
Yeah.
And so don't copy what other athletes are doing. Lean into your own story. Let your images really reflect your true self. Are we hearing an echo? I heard an echo a little bit. Are we good?
You sound good. I don't hear an echo. You sound good.
Awesome.
Yeah, Gigi is checking in with us. Gigi is definitely one of our faithful. She show up just about every week. She said, I'm sharing everything. Gigi Vasquez, thank you for joining us today. And I also want to let you know, if you are out there listening right now, this is your time to, if you haven't already, to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, to go to our Instagram, our Facebook, TikTok, our X, to begin to like those platforms, to go to our website, to see what we're doing. We're going to be putting good data on our website so that you're able to go and be informed and be in the huddle. Okay. So don't forget to do that, and go get some parents and players, or just not parents and players, your friends, to come into the huddle with us. You may get your question answered if you have a question here today.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah. Come on into the huddle. I'm texting my family right now. Come into the huddle.
We also have some people over on Instagram that have joined. We got K_love313 has joined. I think that's Will Johnson mom. Look like she's joined. Welcome. I see her. I see C Means 2428 has joined. So people are joining to see what we're talking about. So I'm excited to just continue to let the huddle be what the huddle is.
That's awesome. So I think it's time for us to invite our guests into the huddle.
Yeah, we're not going to belabor this. Well, let me first give an introduction of who they are. And I know them. I went into their Frameable Faces that's located in, it's on Orchard Lake in West Bloomfield. And when I say I sat down in their studio and must have talked like I knew them for years, Doug and Allie are amazing people. I will just read a little of their bio. Allie and Doug Cohen are the owners of Frameable Faces Photography. They're located in West Bloomfield at the Orchard Mall, and they have been there for 16 years. They've been married for 29 years. Yeah, Allie look good. She don't look like she's been married for 29 years, and Doug don't either. They look good.
Listen, let's congratulate them on that part right there.
Yeah, let's give an applause on that. You in the huddle on that, because we know that marriage is hard work. But in that marriage, they do have 2 kids. They have Tony, that's 23. He's an MSU grad. They have Lacey, 25. She's a Michigan grad, and they create fine art portraiture of high school seniors, families, babies, athletes, professional headshots, and more for all their clients. Allie is the photographer, right? While Doug handles the marketing. And Doug is also the owner of M10 Social. It's his digital marketing brand. Doug has multiple clients and serves as the chair for the social media and digital marketing for the football alumni of Michigan as a former player himself. Now, that's an interesting story. I mean, he's a Michigan man through and through. Doug and Aaron Lax, and I've had the opportunity to meet Aaron. Aaron is just such a great resource. They offer personal branding through the M10 Social in the age of NIL to student athletes at all levels. So without further ado, we're going to bring in Doug and Allie, welcome them to the stage, because we're bringing them in the huddle. Can I get y'all to say one time, we're in the huddle?
We're in the huddle.
Yes, you are. Yes. Wonderful.
I'm a dad in the huddle.
Yeah. Yes, you're dad in the huddle. I love it. I love it.
Dad with the moms in the huddle. I don't know if that happens that much. So
well, they do. We had our husbands in the huddle, so they were in the huddle with.
So you're in fine company.
That's right.
Yes, you're in good company.
Yes. And bringing you guys in today, it's just an honor to have you. Doug, you are a Michigan man. We even talked a little bit about, I think when we were in the studio, we talked about Reggie McKenzie that's supposed to be coming on our show, but you said he's like a legend. And
Yeah.
Reggie is a legend. Reggie was an All-American at Michigan. And when I was in high school playing at North Farmington for the North Farmington Raiders, it's a great day to be a Raider.
Always a great day to be a Raider.
We actually went down to Reggie's camp in the city to his summer camp, and that was a great experience for us. We were, I think, the only team from out in the suburbs that went down to Reggie's camp, and that was a great experience. So I've always been an admirer and a fan of Reggie's had an illustrious career, so absolutely.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, the camp is still going on. Actually, thank you for that intro. That the camp is coming up. I'm trying to go on the website. Camp is coming, I believe, next. Let me get it. It's not on their website. I need to talk to them. But Reggie just happens to be, I'm married into the Reggie McKenzie Foundation family. My husband is Glenn Blackwell, who runs the basketball camp. The camp started, I do know the basketball camp started on Monday. So they are still going strong. They celebrated several years ago. They celebrated 50 years of making an impact within the community.
Incredible.
Wow. That's amazing.
Incredible.
That is amazing, man.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I will say, that's what being in the huddle is about. At some point, someone touched your life, Doug, and you were able to tell me about that. And you were in the huddle, didn't even know it was considered a huddle. But now you and Mom's in the huddle, and we want to talk to you and Allie about what it is you do. We want to first start with Allie so she can tell us about the frameable faces and how she brings her story or other stories to life as it relates to picture taking.
Yeah. So anytime before we do any photo session, we'll have whoever's going to be a part of that photo session come into the studio so that we can meet them. And then we can get to know them a little bit before any photos are ever taken so that we can get to know and bring out that true, authentic self of those people in the photos so that it's really them. Like you can feel their personality, you can feel who they are when the finished product is done. So that's critical for us.
Wow. So you will start with understanding the person before you just say, hey, come stand in front of the camera and let me take a picture of you.
Yes, ma'am. Because there's nothing more awkward than having a big lens pointed at your face if you have no idea who's pointing the camera at your face.
Yeah. So with the athletes that come to you guys and they want to take pictures, how do you bring their stories alive when you're bringing them into your studio?
It's basically, I think, the same thing, right? Don't you think?
Yeah.
So we get to know them. We get to know what's important to them in regard to their sport. Football, basketball. We've had our share of golfers, tennis players. We had an Olympian. We had yes, we did. We had Grace Stark, who was in the Paris Olympics.
Yeah, she took 5th in the 100 meters in Paris, and she was she ran track at Lakeland High School, and she came into the studio. And
that's amazing.
And to Allie's point, especially, having played football growing up, I played basketball and I played baseball, and I've got friends who have played all these different sports. So really any athlete who comes in here, we can speak their language a little bit, find out what their strengths are, what their game is like, who they are as an athlete, about their team, what they bring to their team, their athletic personality.
Yes.
And so we kind of craft some ideas and some creative sessions around what they're looking to do. And like, just as an example with Grace brought a hurdle into the studio and we set it on fire. And I don't know if you
set the hurdle on fire.
But there's Grace right there with a hurdle.
That's awesome.
Wow. On fire. And that's she's a hurdler.
That's creative.
She is, she's on fire when she does 100-meter hurdles.
Yep.
Wow.
Place in Paris. So yeah, I think regardless of what kind of photo shoot you're doing, like Allie said, getting to know who you are, whether it's for your profession, whether it's for your sport, whether it's for your family, whatever it is, that part of the process, you kind of have to go through that regardless of what it is. but each one has different nuances to it. So being able to kind of think in terms of how an athlete thinks and be able to know what it's like to compete, I think gives us that advantage to kind of help them with, what kind of aesthetic, what kind of what they're trying to put across. And really now, the more that we're talking about personal branding, it's really about who they are, and what their personal brand is as an athlete. So.
Yeah. We hear professionals and corporations talk about storytelling. And really what I hear you saying is setting the stage for the power of visual storytelling. So in this new NIL era, how has the role of photography and visual storytelling changed for student athletes?
Well, I think it's the ability that you touched on a little bit earlier to stand out and to be able to, represent who you are, because people are looking for that online.
Yeah.
People are searching for you. They are interested in who, your story, your journey. It starts early. And that's been a big point that I've made lately is if you are, the recruiting business, and I know you had an episode about this, the stars, right?
Yes.
Which I watched, and that was great, by the way.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Stuck on stars.
What's that?
It was stuck on stars.
Stuck on stars, right. So as soon as you start gaining some attention as a student athlete, even at the high school level, if you're being recruited, you are then immediately being followed online.
Yes, you are.
People are paying attention. They are scrolling. They are searching for you. And so you need visuals to stand out, because that's what catches people's eye. That's what catches people's attention. And so the better your visuals are, that might cause somebody to stop on something and say, ooh, that's kind of cool. It's just something that might catch your eye. And then you can use that to lead into the storytelling of who you are, so that there's something there behind the visual to keep them engaged with you and want to follow your journey and know about who you are, and potentially want you to be a part of their program.
Yeah, and that is true, Doug. When it comes down to storytelling in the picture, you had that picture up of that young lady that had fire on top. What she essentially is saying is, I'm fire at running track, right?
Yes.
I'm bad. So that's who she is. So she tells that story. So Doug, take us back to your Michigan heydays. What is the difference between the NIL branding company that you started, that you see now, versus that you didn't see then when you were there?
Big difference.
That's a loaded question, Doug. Okay.
It is a loaded question. I know. I can handle it though.
Okay.
It's night and day. I mean, when I was playing, so I got to Michigan in the fall of 1988. My freshman and sophomore year were Bo Schembechler's last two teams.
Wow.
Michigan. And we won the Big Ten championship every year I was there. So we were loaded with a lot of talent, a lot of guys that were very high profile. And a lot of my friends ended up going on and playing in the NFL. But while we were at Michigan, we were scrounging. We didn't really have a piece of the pie, in terms of the money and the revenue that was being made off of, what we did on the field and as a team. And frankly, we didn't really think about it that much then. And the money wasn't as big then.
Right.
So we didn't really think about any of those things. And we were more or less, I think, just, happy to be a part of the program. And it was all about what Michigan could do for us to be a part of that program, as opposed to what we were doing for Michigan. And don't get me wrong, I still think that is still there. I think that still exists.
Absolutely.
A lot of student athletes who have it right and are doing this for the right reasons. In terms of playing for your team, loving, where you're at, being a part of a program that you are, experiencing growth, personal growth, development by being in with all of your friends, your best friends who you're playing alongside.
Yes.
That part hasn't changed. But between the time that I played and now, the TV deals, the revenue, the salaries of the coaches, the recruiting business, social media, the brands that are out there, the shoes, all these things, money the money got bigger and bigger and bigger. And over time, I think we would all agree at this point, it got to the point where something had to change because players were starting to be a little bit exploited the bigger the money got. And now there's this, kind of correction going on now.
Yeah.
So I guess, I had a great experience at Michigan. I loved it. I have no regrets. It was really hard. I put my body and my mind through a lot going through it.
Absolutely.
But I loved it. I love being a part of the tradition and all the guys that I played with, and that's part of why I'm involved with the football alumni of Michigan now.
Yes,
which we can talk about. But that's part of my way to give back, having been a part of that and the fraternity I have with the guys I played with, and not everybody had the opportunity of NIL to make money off of their name, image, and likeness while they played. And, concussion protocols and the safety of the game weren't up to speed back then either. So a lot of guys, came out of it not necessarily in one piece, and some of them are struggling now. So, so I'm trying to be involved as much as I can to give back and be a part of this nonprofit, which Football Alumni of Michigan is, to help former players, my former teammates who are in need now.
Tell us a little bit about that, Doug, with the Football Association of Michigan to give back. I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah. Well, so Football Alumni of Michigan is a 501c3. We have a website, which is michiganfootballalumni.org. And we have a lot of social media, a lot of content that we're putting out there to try and get people engaged and wanting to support what we're doing. And one of the things that we're doing is we're focusing a lot on mental health.
Yes, so important.
Because I think, and I know you just had a show on this, but I think as moms in the huddle with your kids who, think about the roller coaster, okay, of college athletics. You come up as a young kid, as an athlete, you end up going into your high school, you have success there, right? And you might be from some small town, from some city, some neighborhood where, you don't grow up around a whole lot of opportunity, but then because you have success, you're kind of plucked from that obscurity, thrown into this huge limelight with a lot of expectations, especially if you're at the Division I level. Everyone is expecting you to be a star, to lead
every day
your school and your team to the promised land. and there's a lot of pressure on guys. And then one day it ends.
Yes.
Often suddenly. It can end with an injury. It can end with, being cut from a mini camp. If we were going to play in the pros. Not everybody gets to do that. Whatever the case may be, all of a sudden at some point that ends. The spotlight kind of gets taken away, and now you got a big part of who your sudden identity was as a player is kind of gone. And so some guys have a tough time adjusting to that. And it impacts them if they're not fully prepared for it throughout their lives. So what we have with Football Alumni of Michigan is we have a 1-800 number, which is called Wolverine Hope, that former players and their families can call. It's a 24/7 mental health concierge hotline where if you're having some kind of crisis or you just need some help, just basic, once life starts lifing, and you need, some resources, you can call this number. It's free. We've been able to raise enough money to pay for it. And we'd like to be able to expand this model to other sports. Maybe other schools can start to think about these things so that, guys can have the resources that they need when they get off of this roller coaster.
No, that's so needed. And we think about Michigan alumni, but students need it in high school, right? The pressure is there in high school. It goes on to collegiate sports. It further goes on if you make it to the professionals. Again, we've seen it in the news. Some of us may have experienced it in our family. So it's great that you have an organization like that can support athletes and the longevity of making sure that their mental health is intact. I mean, Eric and I talked about it. Sometimes it can feel like it's taboo. it's not taboo. Get the help that you need, even at an early stage. And so I appreciate that.
Can I interject something in there?
Absolutely. Yes.
So, as a spouse of
Yes.
a former football player, our son also played football at the high school level. I think it takes a lot more strength to say, I need some help with this.
Yes.
Strength comes in. So there really should be no stigma to it, because that's the strength right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what they look at. They look at, I'm a football player, right? Football players are not supposed to cry. I'm a boy. We're not supposed to cry. But then, like Doug is saying, you get to a point to where you're no longer the man. The crowd is gone.
Or the woman.
Right. Or the woman. And you're sitting. And then next you're like, what do I do? This has been my whole life.
This is who I am.
But man, so that's good. I like that. And that's called Wolverine Hope, Doug.
Wolverine Hope. Yeah. And it's you can actually learn about it at the Football Alumni of Michigan website. And as of right now, where we're at with it so far, it's for former Michigan players and their families.
Okay.
So hopefully, if we can at some point do well enough, we can expand this maybe to other sports. And the company that we're working with, they're talking to other universities, and other universities are jumping on board with this idea. So it is going to grow and be available to more people as we go along.
That's awesome.
And that's MichiganFootballAlumni.org.
Yeah, it's MichiganFootballAlumni.org. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. It's interesting. So you have an organization that you're helping former alumni take away the mask and release who they am. And I love what Allie talked about, is that when people come into your studio, you talk through helping them reveal on camera who they are, right? And so it's, you're doing it in two different ways. You're working with former athletes to reveal who they are and the things that they're going through Michigan Alumni Association. Did I say that right?
Football Alumni of Michigan.
Yeah. And then
FAM for short. FAM.
Thank you. And then your organization takes students in, have a consultation with them, so you can really unveil. Yes, you might be a football player or a basketball player or a soccer player, but who are you? And let's show your authentic self on camera, and let's tell the story about you. Yes, playing the sport, but who is this individual in mind? So I love how that's connected. So, when you think about personal branding, what does that really mean for a student athlete in 2025? Like, we know as professionals, Eric and I have gone and got our headshots done, and we work in a corporate America, and we understand what it means to show up a certain way on LinkedIn and show up the same way, hopefully, on Facebook. But when I think about personal branding, students show up in many different spaces in many different ways. They show up one way on Instagram, or a page that's blocked from their parents, right? And they're doing things. So think about, talk about to us about, what does personal branding mean for a student athlete in 2025, and why is that important?
Yeah. So it's perfect. It's perfect lead in from what we were just talking about, because it's so important.
Yeah.
And personal branding in 2025 really is so defined now by the NIL opportunity that was not in existence just a few years ago. That has changed the game so completely, because you can take who you are, your name, your image, your likeness, who you are, what you stand for, and build around that and monetize it, and or build community around it. So you need to know the differences between those platforms. To your point, Jillian, between, you're showing up in a lot of different places, on Instagram, maybe on TikTok, or, or Snapchat, or whatever it is, even Facebook. Not that, Facebook is an old person's game too.
To me.
I'm gesturing to both of them.
Thank you. Allie, get him.
Allie, we in the huddle with it.
Right.
What you said at the beginning was, yes, it's hard to be married. It's hard to be married. It's hard to be married for 29 years.
Yeah.
but
that's why, yeah. So I said I was honored to be a dad in the huddle, but it's dangerous for a dad in the huddle.
Yeah, when your wife's sitting next to you and saying, "Dude, don't do that."
Yes.
Right. But the point is,
yes,
that you do need to, every one of those social media platforms and all the places where you might show up as a student athlete, they do all have kind of their own different vibe. You know, every social media channel has a different language. Some of them hashtags work, some of them don't. You know, there's kind of a cadence to how you communicate on different platforms. So you do need to know those different things. But here's the key point that I want to make, and that I found to be a big hole that's not being serviced in NIL, in the space, and in this landscape. And you mentioned it before in the intro, is ownership.
Yes.
And when I say ownership, my point is that when somebody does do a search for a student athlete on Google, regardless of what level you're at, if you're being recruited as a high school player, if you're the starting quarterback for a national championship contender, and everything in between, you do a search on Google and you're going to get 20 to 50 results from all kinds of different websites, from On3, 24/7, Rivals, ESPN, SportsIllustrated.com, Barstool, whatever it might, as well as the social media websites, Instagram and whatever else. None of those results do you own as a student athlete.
That's good.
There's chatter going on all over the internet about you. Everyone else is talking about you, getting clicks about what they're saying about you, and making money off of their content,
monetizing it.
But you,
yes.
And so if you have your own website and you define your personal brand around who you are, what you stand for, maybe the charities you want to be involved in. If you are a dog guy like Samaj, if you have interests, your personality, what makes you tick, what your skills are, what your goals are, those things are who you are. That's your personal brand. And you can build a home that you'll own online around that. So that when people do search for Jane or Joe Smith,
John Blackwell, Samaj Morgan.
They find them.
What's your son's first name?
John Blackwell.
John Blackwell, Samaj Morgan. Samaj or John can be the one then virtually in that search result to say, hey, here I am. You were searching for me?
Right.
Here's johnblackwell.com. This is who I am.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
And then they'll find you. They searched for you. They should be able to find you.
Absolutely.
What else says about you?
Yeah. That's interesting that you say that. A lot of times young people only think their presence needs to be on those social media platforms that they don't own. You're renting that real estate. The real estate that you own is JillianBlackwell.com, EricaMorgan.com, DougAndAllieColeman.com, TheJohnBlackwell.com. You have to own that real estate. I say that all the time. And you got to do it, parents. If your child is playing, even in elementary, middle school, especially high school, please go and purchase their domain name right now. Because what will happen is that if your child gets popular, what will they do? They'll go buy it. And you have to go buy it from them.
For $5,000.
Yes. Squatters.
Yes.
Or more. And then I see Professor Reynolds saying, I'm learning marketing tips for myself. So she like, wait a minute, hold up. You're talking to people that are here, that they're learning this stuff. And a lot of people don't think that way, though, Doug.
Yes.
I mean, Doug, you gave valuable information. And how much should they get their website, own their brand of who they are? And then how often should they update it? So give me some information about that, Doug, because it's one thing to get your website, but it's another thing to keep it updated. How does that work?
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, that's how we've built our studio, with our brand, is by adding to our website. That's how I've done it with M10 Social. People for a long time, and to this day, people still think of a website as you set up your website, you put your information there.
Right.
That's it.
And that's how people find you. But that's not Your
Yes.
website needs to work for you. It needs to be a living, breathing, ongoing concern where you are adding content to your website so that people not only find your website, but return to your
Yes.
website
Yes.
over and over because there's new valuable content there, whatever that might be. It could be, and listen, this is not easy for everybody to DIY. There is some skill and some know-how involved in this, and that's what I do. I mean, I've been doing that for years. So Aaron Lax, who you mentioned earlier, we've partnered up to help student athletes with this because student athletes are, they're focused on their academics and their game and their skills and their workouts, and they're not web gurus, and neither are the parents. You don't.
That's true.
To me, it's not rocket science, but to somebody who hasn't done it before, it's very difficult to figure out. However, the basic principles are not. And the basic principles are you do need to have, I think, you should have a website and that you should have, say, a blog there, for example, where, maybe once a week, once every other week, you go onto the blog and just add a new story or something that you've worked on or an event you attended. 300 to 500 words. It doesn't have to be a novel, just updates. And then when you do that on your website, you go then back out to the social media sites like Instagram or wherever it is, raise your hand there and say, hey, everybody who's following me, I got something new over at my website. Check it out. Take where people are hanging out and drive them back to go visit your website because Google and the AI engines, like when they go out to the internet and crawl over the internet to find the results of a search, when they land on a site that they say that they can see has John Blackwell tagged on it, Wisconsin basketball tagged on it, if that's what people are searching for, and they get to John Blackwell's website and they can see, ooh, John Blackwell's website has visitors. And not only does it have visitors, but when people visit, they stay for like 3 to 5 minutes reading a page.
I love to see that concept right there is what is missing for websites. I mean, I've been guilty of it myself when I used to practice law. I don't think I went back to update that website. You know why? Because you are working, you forget about it. Which is why what makes your company, M10 Social, so important. If I come to you as a person wanting to come and say, hey, Doug, what do I do? How can you help me? From M10 Social, you and Aaron are working on different things. How can you help someone that's coming to you for help that do not have the time?
Right.
That's good.
I mean, it's funny. So like Allie was saying before, we start off with a consultation the same way. We want to get to know this student athlete and their parents, and if we can sit down, have a meeting and find out, just have a conversation. Who are you? What do you do? What's your sport? What are your interests? What are your goals? Then we can kind of take that story and start thinking about how we can present that to the world. And then we can come back and say, okay, here's some suggestions on how we think we can help you present that to the world. Because if we get to know you well enough, we can do some of that heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
Just you can tell us what you were up to this week, and then we can craft something around it and put it out there. And so we can do some of that content creation. We can help design a website. And depending on what level of competence or involvement the parents want to have, they can do some of it themselves, and maybe we can just act as a consultant, or they might just say, hey, we have no idea. We just want you to do it. There's a whole range of ways we can do that, but the key is getting invested in these kids and their family and finding out who they are so that we can do it the right way. I mean, and that's what my mentors, the people that I still care about to this day that are members of my personal dream team along the way, are people who cared about me, who took an interest in me and really knew
who
you were.
What made me tick, how to coach me, how to develop me, how to be better.
That's good. So Doug, when we talk about Google, and we talk about AI, right? And so it's great. I Google, but I spend most of my time on AI, ChatGPT. And so one of the things that we talk to students about or athletes is not only getting your domain name with a .com, or if you have a nonprofit with a .org, but also get the data AI, because people are, yes, indeed, they're using Google, and Google just recently advanced some of their search. Now it's AI generated, but now people are moving to ChatGPT to find out information. And so can you talk to two things? One, I talked about the importance of AI and making sure you're seen on some of these AI platforms where people search, but also the importance of SEO, search engine optimization, because, right now, if I search John Blackwell, or maybe 2 years ago before I searched John Blackwell was a drummer for Prince. he recently, and he passed away. But if I Googled my son's name, he wasn't the first instant that came up. It was the drummer for Prince. I was like, that's not my son. But now, because he's, had some accolade, he's now one of the first individuals named John Blackwell that comes up. So can you talk about two things? One, and I'm talking about technology. SEO is old, but talk about search engine optimization, but also talk about the importance of AI, and not just getting that .com, but also getting .ai.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, Allie.
No, you're good. This is great.
Oh, Allie, I know you're going to add to it in a minute too.
No, it's all good. He's rolling. Let him go. He's good.
Yeah.
Yes. See, I like this space. This is what I love. My background is marketing, so we're speaking the language to each other.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, then this is my stuff. So,
Yes.
But yeah, so basically, a lot of what I just talked about in terms of populating a website with content and tagging it right with the right keywords so that people can find it, and making sure that you optimize it that way. And depending on the platform that your website is on, there's different plugins that you can just load onto your website, that when you do a blog post, it'll kind of grade out your blog post as you do it and say, okay, this is pretty SEO friendly, or this isn't. And after a while, you kind of get to know what those markers are. So like, I don't even need that app really anymore, because now I just know what I need to add for it to be SEO friendly. But but two details on that I'll say is, there are some people that are in the SEO business specifically that talk about, hey, I can get you to rank certain, at the top of the list, and they do it with all this like keyword magic and all that stuff.
Yep.
My approach has never been to be, I've never called myself an SEO expert. And if you ask me about the keywords and all that stuff, I don't have a ton of expertise in the SEO game when it comes to those tactics. What I do know, and what has worked for me with SEO, which I'm partial to, is the good old fashioned move of making sure that your content is great.
Yeah.
And making sure people want to read it and that it's valuable. To me, that's the long, sustainable game for SEO. You can sustain. It's sustainable to approach it where you're putting out valuable information. If your information isn't great, and you don't have a great blog, and you don't have a community that cares about what you're teaching them or showing them,
that is true.
No amount of SEO wizardry is going to keep you at the top of the rankings for the long term.
Got it.
It's the content to me that is the SEO game. So to me, that's SEO. Now, when it comes to AI, there's a lot of chatter lately about people are using AI as their search engine instead of going to Google, which I do all the time. And so people are like, well, do you need to start using different language that the AI bots are going to recognize better in the results? And do you need to optimize for AI? So far, what I'm seeing is the answer is not really. The same principles still apply. AI will still find you good content that people are reading for the same reason that Google has always found you. So
absolutely. That's good.
It's not about these tricks of the language and the you need to know how to direct AI with good prompts when you're using AI to get you information. But in terms of as a creator and hoping to be found by AI searches, so far what I'm hearing is you don't need to do anything different.
That's good.
Change, but that's so far. That's my take so far.
No, that's good.
And it sounds like what you're saying is that whoever is creating content need to be relatable. and people need to have interest in what they have.
Yep.
Like a lot of people, it's not uncommon for Michigan football to be a cult. It's going to be people that will find you, right? If you are a part of Michigan football, they're going to say, wait a minute. Oh, them people at Michigan are a cult when it comes for their football team. But then if you are trying to be relatable outside of the football, you have to find other groups and mechanisms that would say, okay, you're relatable. I just like hearing what you have to say on this topic. Or I like hearing and seeing the interest that you have on this topic versus just football. So with that being said, how then does social media and frameable faces kind of still make people relatable, and that the pictures that you're taking are interesting, that people say, man, that's a nice picture. I didn't think of it from that standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like it goes back again, knowing your client. You have to learn about that person and know what makes that person tick and what drives that particular person. So, as an example, we've got a photo in the studio hanging up of a football player who went to Michigan. He is now, what does he do? He's Jared Wengler.
He's a co-founder of Champion Circle, which is the collective up there for NIL.
Yeah.
And he started Valiant as well, and we've got a picture
big canvas of him on the wall. And he came in and he said, I want to do something at night. Okay, great. So we went out, we found some bleachers at night, we had our off-camera flash, and we lit him. And to this day, this is one of the most commented on photos in our studio.
Erica, you saw it.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
I did see it. And I actually texted Jared. I'm like, Jared, I see a picture of you hanging in here. He's like, oh, Doug, they are great people. Because you're right. I mean, that picture, I wouldn't even known that you went, and it was so set up so nice. And he had such a serious look. It's almost like the pictures really can tell a story. Yes. And it talks about a picture is worth 1,000 words. Yes. Yeah, that picture is that is beautiful. And that's where I think that in the community of being in a huddle with athletes, people need to know how to stay relatable in that time period that you are relatable, and how to keep people interested in what you're saying you have to offer. So, I mean, I think M10 Social is also a good aspect. And it sounds like, Doug, you're able to kind of bring people's dreams or visions to life about branding themselves.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the idea, is that you want to, the visuals should match kind of what you're trying to put across, what you're trying to share with people about who you are, thought leadership. If you've got like a certain interest that you really have a lot to offer on, and that people will be interested in, whether it's a specific topic or a specific sport or whatever it might be, the visuals need to match the branding, who you are. You put that out, and Erica, you touched on something that I want to grab a second ago, is while the spotlight is on you, while people are, because that's part of, like, when I talk about what we do with Football Alumni of Michigan, and for life after sports, the idea behind personal brand and ownership of it with a website is a long game. It's a lifetime play.
Yes.
Because now is when the getting is good, when people are paying attention, when the spotlight is on you. So now's the time that you need to build some community and a following around that personal brand, so that when the spotlight dims a little and your athletic career is done, you already have people who know who you are, who are paying attention. And you've been a part of a strategy that you've executed on having a brand online. So whatever your next chapter is, whether you want to start a personal training business, be a coach, own a food truck, whatever it is, you already have a home online that you own with some thought leadership, some community around it, of people who are going to be interested in what your next move is. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. So like you said, if you're not, Michigan has a massive following, obviously.
Yeah.
But say you're the second string offensive guard at Ferris State. Okay.
Come on.
The high school you came from, the community where you live, your hometown, still is interested in your journey. So they are. there who are
Absolutely.
interested. You have your fellow students at Ferris State who are there on campus who are interested in their sports teams. You have Big Rapids, the town that campus is in, are connected to the campus and the school and the community there. You have a community there that might be interested who you can partner with. And you have alumni, people who went to Ferris State who will always be interested in what's happening at Ferris State. So
That's
you
right.
don't have to be Michigan to be able to identify that there are community people who will be interested in what you are doing.
That's good. That's good. You know, I love that you gave that example because we talked about earlier, you know, the landscape of NIL and folks getting NIL deals. You talked about especially when a student is going to a D1 university. But let's talk about to your point, and maybe it's a gentleman or a woman who is going perhaps not to a D1 school. What are some simple things athletes can do, even without a big budget, to really make sure their personal brand stands out visually?
Well, you know, for starters, there's no budget on who you are.
That's right.
So never be afraid to be authentically you. Do not feel like you need to say something that's going to play a certain way. It's you that matters.
I like that.
So, and people will be able to tell if you're relatable and you're real.
Yeah.
Respond to that. So to me, that's the first thing that you don't need a budget for. You don't need a budget for who you are.
Yeah.
Nobody can buy that.
Yeah, sometimes people will take that and they'll be like, oh man, people like when you are real. They can see the fake from afar.
And they can sense it.
They can sense it. Because I remember when Samaj got to Michigan, the biggest thing is they always wanted to put a camera in Samaj's face to what? See what he's going to say next. And so Coach Harbaugh, he played on that. He like, all right, camera in front of your face. Let's see what you're going to say. And majority of the people would say, man, that kid is real and authentic. He just going to say what he's going to say. Of course, he knows how to now curb certain things. He's getting wisdom on how to be like, okay, I can't say that. But when the realness comes, people just want to see you be real. Even if it's just, okay, I said this and they laugh and they're like, oh, they're putting the camera in his face. And that was the first thing they said. What's Samaj going to say next? And it wasn't like he was saying anything that spectacular. But you are so right. And the authenticity is what people can relate to.
Yeah, and where first of all, Shemaj has been Shemaj since he was Shemaj. So you're not going to get anything different on camera, off camera. That's going to be Shemaj. But what about, you know, we talk about being on camera and taking photos. There are a lot of athletes, believe it or not, that don't want to be in the limelight. They're like, and they don't understand the benefit, not the limelight. They don't want to be quote unquote seen. And my son talks about, Mom, I want to be, what's the word he used? I don't know. I can't remember what he said, but he doesn't want, I'm not posting a lot, Mama. You can't get me to post, Mama. And I'm saying, you're thinking selfishly. You're not thinking long-term. Something that you said, Doug, you're not thinking strategic. And so how do we talk to our students about being strategic, not thinking about this 20-year-old, but thinking about that 30-year-old and building that brand once this sport is over? Because you've built your brand through great photos, through storytelling, how can we get them in front of a camera for those who don't want to be in front of a camera?
Well, you have plenty of people who say that they're not comfortable in front of a camera. How do you bring that out of them? Because that's what this is the secret weapon of frameable face. She's able to do that. How do you?
Talking. Just so, like I said, there's nothing more uncomfortable than having a big lens pointed at you. And you want to get those genuine, authentic expressions. So we've resorted to all sorts of inappropriate statements to elicit those genuine reactions. And we just had a young man in the studio, and he's like, "What do you want me to do?" I'm like, "Just smile."
Yes.
He does this. Like, no, that's not the real one. Don't get me into that fake expletive.
Right there.
And then boom, as soon as the adult drops the F-bomb, they're like, "Whoa, okay," and they start.
Wow.
So you just have to do whatever you can do to bring that guard down. Once that guard comes down, that's when the shine comes out.
Oh, I love that. And so, Eric, I just want to chime in one thing. This is part B to this question.
Yeah.
So we got them at your place. You're asking inappropriate questions to get them to smile and engage. You're laughing. We're all a big family. You send them over the gallery, and they just sit on it. So how do we make sure what advice are you giving to parents who have invested, put the money up? I'm speaking from experience over here. How do we make sure they're consistent? Certainly one way we can help them, but what are some of the tips you would give to parents to make sure they're consistently showing themselves?
So for us specifically, we don't do any online galleries. So someone's in a photo session with us, we hold your hand from beginning through the end. So you're going to do the photo session with us. Then you're going to come back to the studio and we're going to show you those photos. We're going to show you them in a slideshow first, so you don't have to think. It's just a fun way to see them for the first time. Then we're going to go back through them one by one by one. And you're going to assign each photo a yes and no or a maybe. And really, it's just to weed out the ones that you know you don't like.
Yeah.
And then we do that process again until we get to the ones that you really like. And then we take it from there. So
I was just gonna, and if I can put just kind of like a bow on on the two things that she just covered as it translates to personal branding or any of these other things we're talking about, is number one, this all really should be fun. Okay. Like this all should be fun. The opportunity to play sports is the greatest thing, regardless of what sport it is. If you love it, competing and the camaraderie and the jokes and the funny parts of it, this should be fun. If it's not fun, no problem.
That's
number
right.
one. And what was number two? Dang it.
That's okay.
I'm getting old, man.
That's 20 plus years of marriage. That's what that was right there.
Right. Like I probably got it for you. But I will say on the inside, Doug and Allie, do you think on the inside of just about everybody, there's that little bitty thing that want to get out and have that camera snapped on them? It's like it's there. That's why you're able to kind of bring it out. Because I think intrinsically people want that natural attention. Okay, you got it, Doug. You got it. There you go.
Thanks for helping them out, Erica. Thanks for helping them out.
I just pulled it on out. There you go. Go ahead, Doug.
The second thing, because Jillian started that question with, how do you get them to not just kind of sit on it after they've done it? How do you get people to? It really, whether it's sitting down and having a consultation or bringing them back and only doing it in person, it's about expectations. Setting the proper expectations at the beginning of this process and of this strategy. If you've waited to do it until after, forget about it. You need to set the right expectations up front, that this is why we're going to approach this way, and we're all going to agree that we're going to do this, right?
right. We're all on the same page.
Right. Get the picture and do it. Post it, boy, or do it for them. Yep. That's what I think we find ourselves. We become our children's secretaries, our children, mama, our children, post social media. And at times you're like, okay,
full-time job.
Do you want? But then you think that they really have a schedule that sometimes they really can't do. They just cannot do it. But that's why M10 Social is so important, a branding company that helps them understand the importance of it. Jillian has all her years of marketing experience. She does fantastic with a lot of our social media things and the things she creates. But it just, to me, sounds like it has to be in you to do. And eventually it'll come out during your portion. That's what makes it so important to connect families with discussions like this. Because this is a real discussion. A lot of people have a lot of their children out here that don't want to do none of the things for social media. But here's the thing. They still want to be the man on the field. You get what I'm saying? They put it on the media to popularize them, meaning the media is going to be there. They'll take pictures. Oh, I'm going to be at this game. They're going to do it. And then they only look at it when they're sitting down like, oh, man, how can I really utilize it? When the parent thinks about it, right? So you're giving very good information, Doug and Allie. It's great information because parents need to know it.
It takes a village.
Takes a village to be in the huddle.
And y'all in the huddle.
It takes a huddle.
Takes a huddle. I love it.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
So, I'm excited to see what you guys going to start doing with a lot of the new landscape of the NIL and how people are really going to be looking at it through your lens. Will people go out and buy their own websites? You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Will they understand the importance of it? Because here's the thing. My mom always say, and you guys know it, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So if you're giving them those good tips and those good things and being the resource for them and they still don't utilize it, I say shame on them. You get what I'm saying? And then don't get upset at the fact, oh, well, no one's saying anything. Well, what are you doing? Because you have to move and motivate yourself, right?
That's
You
good.
got it.
That's
Not
good.
everybody's gonna do this, which is part of the opportunity for those who do it.
Absolutely. That's key. That's key. So you know what, Doug and Allie, we would not be good marketing people if we did not lead with a call to action. So if you can tell us 3 things every athlete listening today, or even parent, coach, anyone that's a part of that village and that huddle should do this month, maybe not this month because tomorrow's the 30th, and the next 30 days to level up to their brand image, what would you say the key 3 things?
Okay, so number 1 is get in touch with M10 Social. That's number 1.
Hey,
That's number 1. And through M10 Social, get back to Frameable Faces. But that's my number 1. So what is your number 2?
That's
like
a good
that.
one.
Thank
That's
you.
a good one. Well, and I would say number 2, start thinking about your personal brand and what that means. That's something that you can do tonight. You know, you can start to map it out, make a list. Who am I?
Can I jump in for 1 second? So Samaj, you said he likes dogs.
Yeah.
There's a million ideas running through my head as to
Wow.
what he can do with dogs.
Yeah.
Love that.
A million different businesses,
Yes.
rescues. There's a veterinarian offices. There's a million different things that he can do to showcase that, hey, I like dogs.
I love that.
Just thinking, outside the box, outside the huddle, if you will, of different things that you can use to demonstrate what you're passionate about.
Yeah, figure out what that is and write it down. Write down what makes you you, what are your interests, what is your sport and your skills, what do you love about that sport, what charities or things do you like, because that's a big deal. People want to know that if you've got opportunities, what you're going to do with those opportunities to give back and make the world better. So I would say make a list of all those things and start thinking about what your personal brand is based on the stuff we've talked about. So that's the other thing. And then the next thing I would say, the third thing, I guess if this is 3, that I would say that you can do that's actionable is to, the brands, the other athletes, the players, the teams, the products, the things that you like, that you admire, that you use, those things, follow them with an eye towards how are they representing themselves online. Study what they're doing. Start to study who you want to be, study how they go about their business, and think about how that applies to you. Because all of these young people know how to use social media.
Yes, they
with
do.
their friends and how to communicate, but they don't always look at it in terms of strategically how they could use what they do, what they are drawn to apply it to themselves and start thinking that way. So I would say that, think about what your personal brand is, who you are, and then start being intentional about the people and the brands and the things that you follow online, and pay attention to how they're doing it.
That's right.
Yes.
That's why I married him.
That's awesome. Yes, he's
we
a
came
genius.
full circle, Allie, didn't we? Allie, it went from what you say. Oh, that's why I married him. That's your boo thing, Allie.
Yes, I love it.
29 years, that's a secret.
Wow.
Love it. Yeah.
But we just want to thank you guys for joining us today. You've gave us valuable information that many of our parents can use. We're going to definitely continue to put your information on our website. We're going to build that into where they can find Frameable Faces at www.frameable frameablefaces.com. And I'm sorry, it's merged together, but then you got M10 Social, where you can find www.m10social.com for parents that are trying to find you guys that may want to bring their kid there, or not just kids, but adults, young adults, players, whether you are in any sports. You do any sport, correct, Doug? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So, hey, and thank you so much for having us on.
This was fun.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm glad we connected, because not only was this fun, but I really, I think, listen, I think what Moms in the Huddle is doing, I think what the two of you are doing is such an underserved demographic in this landscape and in this topic, that I just think you're filling a really important need for people who are going through exactly what you're going through right now.
Man, yes. Well, thank you, Doug, for confirming that with us. But I do have a question, Doug.
Yeah.
Is that MSU green shirt you have on today?
No, it's not. It's the lighting.
It's the tint and the lighting.
Come on,
now. Like, wait a minute. Does it look green to you, Eric, or is that just my glass?
Let me tell you, it looks like the maize and blue. The maize and blue is go blue. Okay.
Thank you.
You can't tell that yellow trim. That yellow trim says the good maize.
Listen, I know, but it has to be my glasses. I was like, that looks.
Somebody said Barry Kelly, we see you out there, Kelly. That's what.
Yes.
That's Barry Kelly right there.
I love that. I love it. Well, I appreciate that. Laker boys for life. I love it.
Hey, you know what? Like we said, we had one that went to Michigan, one that went to Michigan State. I do own a Michigan State dad shirt that I wore very proudly.
That's it.
You wore it proudly, but proudly just for that day, didn't you?
That's it.
Uh-oh. 4 years while Tony was at Michigan State. But I mean, let's be real. The pretty girls go to Michigan State.
Oh my God.
There are pretty girls in Michigan. Lacey went to Michigan.
Allie, they're going to be coming after you in the huddle, Allie.
No, we are, listen, we cross borders and lines and everything within Moms in the Huddle, because I don't have my red and white on representing the Badgers.
Right. She don't, but that's okay.
It's
but
okay.
I will tell you, I'm a University of Detroit Mercy girl, and I know we got some people there too. But what I will say, in the huddle is everybody is in the huddle.
Yeah,
no matter what you're looking at.
And it's all about the love.
It's all about love.
Yeah, when football season starts back up with full effect, I am dragging Erica to the Ohio State.
I'm not doing football season. I draw the line there. But let me tell you, I may show up after the season. There's no way that a mom from Michigan can be unless we're playing them, right? But after the season in January, look, Julia's trying to get me on up there, right? Like, what are you doing?
Oh no, hilarious.
But that would be Jillian, that would be fun though, wouldn't it?
We're going.
We're going.
Absolutely.
Well,
bring a camera person along to follow you along. So.
That's right.
You know, because they not playing with us up there.
But Tony Hunter says, "Girl."
I know. Tony, like, girl. She know what's gonna happen if that happens.
Yes. I love it. With the eyeballs behind it. I love that. Well, Doug and Allie, thank you so much. You have been a blessing to the show. We again, we'll put this information up. We'll make sure that people follow you, and thank you so much for joining us. And this is probably not just the first time in the huddle. We'll bring you back.
You definitely have to come back, Allie and Doug, because we're going to have a part 2 for understanding. You may, understanding more about M10 Social and more about Frameable Faces. And check this out. A lot of people don't know, y'all, and I've yet to try it, but they got a jerky company that, let me tell you, we're going to have to bring them in the huddle to talk about the jerky company, Ginger Jerky. And if I'm not mistaken, are these vegan?
They are.
Detroit Jerky is vegan.
Yeah, Detroit Jerky is vegan. So we're going to bring them back to talk about how to fuel your bodies with their jerky. Okay.
Wow.
So they're
Wow.
not going. They're going to be partners with us on so many levels. We thank you guys for coming. And don't forget, in the huddle, no parent and no person stands alone. All
Yes. Love
right.
that.
All
Love
right.
that.
Have a great one, guys. See
You
you
too.
Thank
later.
Thanks,
you.
ladies.
Bye-bye. Thank
Wow.
you. Well, that
Wow. We
was
got
fun. I like
Barry Kelly is saying, let's talk mental health next. You know, Jillian, remember we talked mental health on Monday,
last
Barry,
on Monday, but we got to bring it
but
back.
we're going to bring someone else. I think that Solid Foundations gave us a referral of someone that actually was played sports that is now in mental health and is one of the person that is certified in athletes mental
Yeah.
health. So he's going to be coming on an upcoming show, Barry, and we're going to make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to where when we have new shows that are about to come out and you're commenting and you're seeing our posts and we're going to be telling you when we're going live, I guarantee you we're going to bring that person back again, okay? We're
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
bring yes.
It's so needed. We want to. I was actually at a funeral yesterday and talking to a parent whose son played football. I think at a school at Ohio. He's actually a recruiter now at University of Michigan. And I told her about our show that we had about mental health, and she said, "Jillian, it is so important." She said, "4 of my son's ex teammates unalive themselves.
Mm.
4." 4. And so certainly mental health is so important. We gotta bring those resources.
We are.
The ebbs and flows of playing sports, whether it's a collegiate level, high
Yeah.
school level, professional level, mental health is such a great conversation we're gonna have.
Yeah, because to
So
me, it could have been preventable. But I will say,
absolutely.
I mean, I don't like that, and I don't like death at all. But and here's the thing: I don't know, Mr. Kelly, if you're saying my son was one of them, but maybe your
Mhm.
story can be a blessing to other parents. We're going to encourage that you reach out to us. We may want
Yes,
to bring you on to share your story if you would like. Um,
absolutely.
but I will say, if he was one of them, whether experiencing mental health or anything you'd like to share your story, reach out to us. Check us out through
Absolutely.
there. Our resources information is on Facebook. We're on Instagram, and that's another thing. You never know. You may be a guest on Moms in a Huddle. You're on here commenting,
Yeah,
but if you have something in which you want to share, we're going to bring you on and bring you in the huddle and more than likely
ab-
talk about it, because
absolutely.
this is a place where you can be real, and it should be a comfort level for us to
Yeah.
talk about things that we're talking about. And we're going to up the ante. Yeah, we're bringing you great things about NIL, but we're also going to bring you things and different shows
Mm,
about not so bright side of being in the huddle. Moms that have
mm,
lost their children.
yes.
Wow.
Mhm.
Caleb Kelly, Laker state champ.
Okay.
Caleb
Amen.
Kelly.
Yes. Yeah, we
Wow.
need to bring Barry back onto the show. Not back on, but invite him to the show. So certainly
We def-
you can reach out to either one of us. I'm Jillian at momsinthehuddle.com, and
yeah.
it's Erica with a K, ERIKA at
Yeah.
momsinthehuddle.com. So please reach out to us. We'll follow
Yeah.
up and we'll make sure we get to share your story.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we've come to a very special time in
Hmm.
the huddle where we're going to talk about the legal tip. You know, a lot of people don't know. They say, how can you talk about the legal tip as it relates to being in the NIL space and being in all these things? It's not only about NIL space, Jillian. You know why?
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going to talk about the legal tip as an attorney that practiced law for at least 7 years, and now I'm sitting on the bench in family law that I enjoy doing. But I remember sitting listening to a lot of stories when I would counsel clients talking about the type of friends that you hang around that can get you in trouble. Well, this is the
Ooh.
tip that I want to bring to us today, which is in the huddle. Being around the wrong person can still get you charged. Think
Mm.
about that. Let me give
I'm
you an
sorry.
example.
I'm sorry. Wait. Say that to the people in the back.
To the
Say that one
people
more
in the
time.
back, being around the wrong person can still get you charged. Think of
Ooh.
it this way. When you get into a vehicle with someone or you're driving a vehicle, make sure you watch what they bring into your vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes people will bring a gun, they'll bring drugs, but if you're pulled over
Yes.
and you're driving it, and the person that's sitting on the right of you don't know all of a sudden where the gun or where the drugs came from because they have nothing to lose. There are two dangerous people in this world: those that have nothing to lose and those that have everything to lose. If you are an athlete, you have everything to lose. You have your name, your image, and your likeness. Watch who you bring in your vehicle with you. Watch what store you go in. Your friend go in there. They sticky fingers, but you're not.
Ooh.
And then y'all walk in together, but y'all walk out together. And so now we got a conspiracy, right?
Oh my goodness.
All because you hanging with sticky fingers and you didn't know sticky fingers was going to sticky fingers was going to go ahead and steal something, right? But check this out. They're going to charge maybe everybody. And that could be you.
Goodness.
Know when to remove yourself. Know when to ask questions. If it's your vehicle, you have every right to say, what are you bringing in my vehicle? And 9 times out of 10, you know who Sticky Fingers is, you know who Felon is, and you know who always getting in trouble is. And if they in your car, you shouldn't have them in there. So know when to gracefully bow out and think about your future. So that's the legal tip this week. Do not get a criminal charge.
Oh my goodness. That is so good. Can we?
Yes.
And that, we're talking about athletes. That's for anyone. Listen, don't hang around sticky fingers. Don't hang around. Oh, that's so good. Thank you, Erica. I learned so much.
Yes, that's the legal tip for today.
Yes. Yes. So, all right, y'all, we've talked a lot about my favorite topic, marketing. And so I won't bore you with a whole bunch of stuff, but it is time for Moms in a Huddle marketing moment, because talent open doors, but the proper marketing keeps them open. So here's our marketing moment. Be the kid, be the student athlete, be the football player, the basketball player, the soccer player, whatever that sport you play, that thanks people publicly. It's so simple. Why is it important in a world full of highlight reels and self-promotion? The student athlete who takes time to publicly thank their coaches, thank their teammates, thanks their trainers, their teachers, and even fans stands out for all the right reasons. So what does that look like? You say, Jillian, Mom in a Huddle, post, what does that look like? So number one, after a big game, post a simple thank you, coach, for believing in me. Or something like, couldn't have done this without my teammates. I love when I hear athletes say that. Thank you, coach, for believing in me. Thank you, coach, for putting me in the game. I couldn't do this without it's not about you. Thank your teammates. Number two, after you visit a campus, they have invited you into their home. When somebody invites you to their home, what do? You thank them. So send a thank you email, post a story thanking the coach staff for hosting you. Number three, if you receive an award, an acknowledgement or something, thank your families, your mentors in the program, because you talking about the huddle, no parents that you didn't get there by yourself.
Come on now.
After we receive something, thank the people who have been with you along the journey. And why is this? This is marketing. This is smart marketing. Coaches love character. A humble, grateful athlete is coachable.
Yeah.
Man, look at that young man. Look at that young lady's heart.
Yes.
They're coachable. That's marketing. Brands love good people.
Yeah.
So companies want to attach themselves to athletes with integrity and gratitude. And number three, it builds your character off the field. It builds your brand off the field. People will remember your attitude. Man, that John Blackwell, that Shamaj Morgan, they are really good kids. They come from really good families. We want that. We want people to say that about us.
Absolutely.
And so I want to remind parents and athletes, gratitude doesn't cost anything. It's free.
That's right.
But it leaves a lasting impression. Coaching recruit talent, but they keep character. I want to say that one more time.
Yes.
Coaches recruit talent, but you've seen it all the time in papers. They keep character. So that's my Moms in a Huddle marketing moment. Listen, what we want to do is we want you to be the athlete that thanks people publicly. That's
Yeah, I
marketing.
love that. That's a great marketing moment, Jillian.
Yes, thank you.
And I love being in a huddle with you. It's amazing.
Oh
Every
yeah.
week it seemed like we're building and building and building. I do see actually Doug texted me and told me that Barry Kelly is his best friend. His son was
Oh,
Caleb. He went to West Bloomfield High School and he was a teammate of Samaj. And in 2020, he actually died by suicide. And for Mr. Barry, if you are still on here or listening, I'm going to get your contact information every year for a parent that have lost their child in any capacity. We do it for the mothers and the fathers. We want to
yeah,
honor you, Mr. Barry. We took the dads
yeah,
this year to Top Golf. We honor them. Samaj go and spend his own personal money. We get donors. We get people that come in and support, and they give to you guys. And we love on you. And we just tell you, in the huddle, you're not alone. So we honor you for
yeah,
Father's Day. So Mr. Kelly, I'm going to make sure I get your information so that we're able to honor you next year for Father's Day and mom as well, because we also honor the moms. So you're not going to be left
yeah,
alone on those days.
yeah,
Okay. And my condolences,
yeah,
because I know mental health we're going to more than likely bring you on sooner now than later,
yeah,
because when it's one of those things in which we need to talk about, mental health is so very important. And we do not want to just leave parents out there alone, because even though we're in a huddle, we got high moments, the ebbs, the flow. We're going to make sure that we're in the huddle with you. Okay. So
yeah.
thank you for that, Doug. And thank you, Mr. Barry. And we're going to definitely bring you in.
Amen.
Yes.
Ooh,
You said amen. We in church, amen.
yeah,
Y'all, Jillian is a crab baby.
I
I am
am a
too.
crybaby. Yeah,
Man, because that do touch you, as a
yeah.
parent, as a mom. That's not easy, man.
No, and listen, we're moms, but we love every kid. I remember when your kids play through elementary and middle school with each other, and then they go off to their high schools and they compete against each other, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember a time, I think I was at oh shoot, what's the school on 6 Mile and Outer Drive?
Is that Renaissance? I don't
No, it's a private Catholic school. What is it? Private Catholic school on anyway.
UD?
UD. So we were at UD. My son plays for um, Brother Rice. And I see his friend playing. I've been knowing this kid since he was, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth elementary, and they played in AAU together, right?
Yeah.
For the family. And so my youngest son is next to me, and my middle son, they're playing against each other. And I'm cheering still for this kid that I love.
That's
And
right.
my youngest son said, "Mom, you can't do that." I said, "What are you
I
talking
can't.
about?
Right.
That's my baby too. It's not my blood baby. That's my baby." And so when we say moms in the huddle, we love these kids.
Absolutely.
So to hear that about Caleb, I may not have known him, but I know what parents do to surround themselves around good people. And so my heart goes out to this family. But we want to make sure that we give you the space and the opportunity to tell your story. So if we can prevent any child from unaliving themselves, if we can provide resources for these student athletes to know that they are loved and they're not defined by a sport, they're not defined by grades, they're not defined by any of that. And so
we're gonna do it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Man, yeah. But that's such a somber moment. But I will say it's life. And
yes, it is.
I think we're actually bringing Solomon Bonner's mom on. I spoke with her, Erica Weaver.
Yeah.
She lost her son through senseless violence, gun violence, and she actually said she wants to come and tell her story as well. And that's where the realness comes. That's where, how are you doing? We haven't forgotten about you, Erica. We're not going to forget about you, Mr. Kelly, because sometimes people lose their children or lose their spouse or get diagnosed. We're bringing a mom on that got diagnosed with breast cancer. So a lot about this show is just more than us just being in a huddle in the sport. We're in the huddle in life.
Yeah. So, sports is a thing that just brings us together.
Yeah.
It just brings us in a huddle together. But we wear many hats. We're moms, we're wives, we are professionals, all those things.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that we talk about that. So
yeah. So
this
where
was a
we
good
at
show.
now? Moms in the huddle.
Where we at in the huddle?
Moms in the huddle.
Where we at in the
In the
huddle?
huddle. Moms in the huddle.
Where we at in the
In
huddle?
the huddle. That's the anthem. Get them hands up. Hey.
Hey.
We're going to see you next Monday in the huddle. You don't know when we're
Yes.
going to show up 2 times in 1 week. So just be ready. Don't forget to like,
Yes.
comment, and subscribe. We'll see you
Yes.
later. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.